Hi there everybody, it's Rarity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me today for another card making video, and today this one supports the Inspire Create challenges. So this is my design team entry for that challenge, which goes live this morning. Our theme this time is we are casing one of our new design team members. So this is all based off Tammy's card, so there'll be a picture of Tammy's card in the corresponding blog post, so please do click in the description, head over to my blog, and then you can see that inspiration. Equally, you can travel over to the Inspire Create Challenges blog, also linked in the description, and that is where you will be able to create your own card based on the theme and upload a picture to that gallery, and we will select a winner and announce that next time. So it's always a little bit of fun, and it's quite nice to have these challenges, especially if you're feeling a little uninspired or a bit stuck on what you want to do. So Tammy's card, when you have a look at it, is all based around the Irresistible Blooms and the suite of products that contains this stamp set. This is an online exclusive. It is not in one of the current catalogues, so you'll have to pop along to the shop online store. Links in the description as well for that, to have a look at that. So this is a stamp set that sort of goes in and out of stock, but any floral set would probably be great with this technique. So Tammy's card, I believe, uses the Designer Series paper as a backdrop. Now, I'm a crafter who doesn't really use a lot of Designer Series paper, so I've actually created my own background along the same lines. Okay, so the whole suite is this sort of Irresistible Bloom. It almost looks like a faux emboss resist, so I've just done real emboss resist using some clear embossing powder with those leaf images to create a background. And it's the sectioning that really is the thing here. So whether you're using your own stamp background, coloured cardstock, Designer Series paper, whatever it might be, whether it's got this resist design or not, you can cut it into panels and just create this sort of more fun look to it. Okay, and I've opted for just layering that onto the white, okay, with the punch of colour in the label. I've actually used a punch here. I think the original uses a die. And then just some colour coordinated embellishments. Okay, so the other thing I've done with this is the Irresistible Blooms gave us a little sneak peek at some returning colours when it came out. So the Designer Series paper features Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock. So these colours, I remember being in colours. This was a colour when I joined in 2015 and left soon after. So really pleased to see that back. It was one of my favourites at the time, and I remember joining and not realising that certain colours had a shelf life. So really nice to see that return. And then Pretty Peacock was just a great in colour not so long ago. And then one of the probably one of the most popular in colours that we had was Lemon Lime Twist, and people have been really appealing for this to come back. So Lemon Lime Twist is back. Okay, so these are the three colours that I actually used in the blend on the background, and then it's just Pretty Peacock on the label and the embellishments there. Okay, so that's the palette I've used. So with that in mind, I thought I'd use new colours for my version for the video today. Okay, and just sort of freshen it up a bit. So that one, because I was going with the greens, I stuck with the leaves and stuff. So this time, 3 more new colours. One is a returning favourite, so along with with Lemon Lime Twist, we also had Berry Burst. These were in colours at the same time. Very popular, nice deep purpley pinky colour. bit deeper than Melon Mambo, so that's a really nice return. And then 2 brand new colours. So we have Bubble Bath, which is a lovely soft pink, and Lemon Lolly. Okay, so these 2 are in the subtles now. So we've pretty much switched out the So Saffron from the So Saffron and Blushing Bride. Basically, we've switched out with some fresher yellows and pinks, which I think are really, really cute. And then, like I say, we've got this beautiful bright Berry Burst as well. Okay, so that's our palette for this time. Okay, but we're going to do pretty much the same thing. Still going to stick with a basic white card base, so we'll just crease and score this, and then we're going to pull in another basic white layer. So normally my layers would be a 1/4 inch shorter and narrower, and these ones are a little bit smaller, so because we need to allow for that gap in between. So this one is 3 3/4 by 5.5. Okay, so a little smaller than normal, just to allow for that room around the edge, so that we can layer that up. All right, and I actually will be layering that up onto a normal card layer. So here's my regular card layer, 4 by 5 3/4. So it's going to go onto there just to sort of space everything out. Okay, right, let's pop that there so I don't lose it. So we need some scrap paper in, so I'm going to use my small grid paper. We don't have this anymore, but I'm going to use up mine. It's a nice little base to work from. And because we're using Emboss Resist, we're going to have to do our stamping with Versamark, which is a clear sticky ink, which is perfect for this heat embossing. Now I've just pulled out all my stamps, and in the set there is a large and a small flower, but I don't know whether that large flower is going to overpower a little bit. I might just stick with the small flower. So on the sample I showed you that are kind of made with the Lemon Lime Twist, Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock. I can't remember what I was going to say. I'm just going to use the leaves, but we'll just go with that in the middle. Kind of, I want to sort of, I don't know, make sort of floral clusters, if you like, and associate the leaves a little bit with the with each of these flowers. So we want them going off the page a little bit. Oh man, I don't know what I was going to say when I was just halfway through that sentence. So don't want them all to be too lined up though, that's the thing. So you want to sort of twist and turn it a little bit so it looks a little bit more organic. And I suppose we can have them coming in the other way as well. And then maybe one at the bottom here as well, maybe a bit more sort of sideways. And we'll just bring in the little leaf. There's a leaf with sort of, there's like a pair of leaves, and then there's like 3 leaves. So I think we'll just use the smaller leaf. We want to get that Versamark ink off though, so make sure that's wiped off quickly. It'll just be a bit sticky on your ink, on your stamps, if you don't get it off. So I'm gonna pop these leaves in. Now, I don't know whether you can, so you can just sort of catch that light there. So just with that overhead light, I can just about see where these images are, so I can kind of estimate where I want these leaves to go. It's not a precise science, but it'll be, I'm sure it'll look just fine. And remember, we're going to be cutting it up a little bit, so there isn't much room in the middle there for lots of leaves to come in, so we'll just make sure we've got some coming off over here, and maybe some poking in as if there was another flower off to the other side. So just looking to see that I've got a nice sort of coverage. Don't really like too many gaps around the edge, otherwise it looks a little unfinished when you're doing these kinds of backgrounds. This corner looks a bit empty. Just be careful when you're handling it as well, so you don't end up smudging portions here and there. I say there is a little bit of a space in the middle here, but maybe when we've cut it down it's not going to look so bad. So I don't want to be dilly-dallying too much with the ink here. I'm just going to bring in the embossing additions sort of tidy tray thing. So that kit comes with a dust buddy and some fab tweezers, sort of reversible tweezers, which is great because you can grip your cardstock while you're heating it. And a really cute little brush, so that helps you to get off any stray powder that might have crept onto your project, but that's looking okay. That's clear embossing powder, by the way. For this one, because we're using white cardstock, you could probably get away with using white powder if you don't have any clear powder. So I'm just going to grasp that with these reversible tweezers on that little portion there, so that we can get that heated. This lovely funnel means that I can just pop that straight back into my tub. Okay, and the other thing we will need is a sentiment. So what I'm going to do is just grab this piece of scrap here. Just transfer that just for a second over here. Once the powder's on, that'll be alright. And I'm going to quickly stamp my thank you, and then we can get all the heat embossing done at the same time, rather than come back to it. So we'll just pop that down. More powder over the top. So it's really dull now. Okay, that can go straight back in and away before we end up throwing that around. And we can start heating this. So the heat gun's loud, which means I'll be muting it and speeding up this process, but you'll see me heat behind the images and on the front, so just try and get even heat distribution. If you heat from the back, you get a glossier finish, especially with the clear powder, I find anyway. Okay, so we're going to head off and do that now, and we'll be back in 2 ticks. Okay, so we've now got super glossy images all over that, which are really, really lovely. So now we can apply our ink. Okay, so let's pop that to one side, bring back in that scrap paper. Okay, so Lemon Lolly is our first colour, really, really lovely new pale yellow. So Saffron, I thought was quite, shall we say, I think the best way to describe it is a dirty yellow. Okay, this is a much fresher colour. Okay, so this guy is going to go on across the, just finding some, I'll probably do actually, just want something to hold the paper with. So this guy's going on first. I think ultimately the image is going to end up this way up, so let's have it that way up. And I'm going to use the blending brushes to get that on. So I'm going to go almost all the way to the edge, but not quite. Just so that we can bring in the other colours. We'll probably go back to that to help blend out the others. Here's Bubble Bath. Again, a much brighter, fresher ink, pink ink than the Blushing Bride. So this is going to come in from the edges and blend in a little bit with the with that Lemon Lolly. This is a much more subtle colour than Blushing Bride was. Again, a lot of grey I thought in Blushing Bride. This one still has, for me personally, a little bit of greyness to it, but not to the extent of Blushing Bride. Okay, and where those colours overlap, we're getting this sort of very a hint of sort of peach tones. So these are going to play so nicely together on our projects to give us these lovely spring colours. So not taking off much of the ink in between applications, just to build up that colour, because it is so nice and soft. Okay, so we can see now, hopefully, that Lemon Lolly is really bright in the centre, and we have this sort of more earthy tone there. And this might be the time where you think, do I need some more Lemon Lolly just to sort of balance anything out? But you know, your card, you call the shots when it comes to that kind of thing. So just in case we do need to go back to them, I'll just leave those there. And then we're going to come in with this really bright Berry Burst. And what I might actually do is do my sentiment first, because I want this to be quite punchy. So we're going to go full strength onto there, which will help one, get that done so that it can dry, and we'll just use a cloth just to brighten that back up again. Okay, so that will be ready to punch out. That's going to be drying off. But that also means I've got some ink on here, which has sort of been brought down a little bit. Just got another piece of something to hold on to, just so I don't put fingerprints all over it. So this is going to be a much brighter, darker, moodier colour, but I don't want it to overpower those subtle colours. So I'm literally just popping that around the edge there, and that is it. Very, very subtle. Bring back that cloth, because it will look really dark until you do this. Okay, so if you want to bring back in that brightness now, I think that looks fan-dabby-dozy. I don't think I need any more Lemon Lolly. I think the rest of it's just doing its job now. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So it's a process that takes a bit of time. but it's totally customizable. And once you wipe off all that excess ink, you get this nice bright background. Now, would you believe there was a little interval right in the middle of that? So sorry, the video just stopped just for a second. An alert came up, and it was that emergency response warning thing. So even though the notifications were off, that was still working. So there's a good test of the emergency alert system. So apologies if there was a little glitch there. Right, so like I say, I think that is just a really, really, really pretty combination. I think it looks way better in real life. There's a lot more drama to it, but I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. Okay, right, let's pop away these inks just for a second. Don't think I need them again, but just to avoid any potential disasters. Just a word of warning, when you get your brand new ink pads, you might find that they are a little stiffer to open until you've got them out and started playing with them for a bit. But just persevere with them. Just be gentle and ease them open, and they'll be fine. So we're using this label punch. So this was in a bundle in the retiring catalogue. But we have kept the punch, which I think is kind of nice because it's a really nice sort of pretty punch, I think. Now the wet ink just warps the cardstock slightly, that's the only reason I'm having a slight difficulty popping that in. So just wrestle it across, centre it up in your punch, and then pop that out. Oh, I do need that ink. I remembered I was going to add another little element that I didn't do on the original card with the berry burst. Just bring back that scrap just quickly. There's a cute splatter in the set, and I just wanted to add just a little bit of that in, just for a bit of added fun. Not everywhere, but just a little bit. Okay. Now, some of that is going to end up on that embossing, which means it will not dry. But that's fine. And I've buried my cloth underneath everything else, so that's fine. So we're going to gently wipe that away. So it's going to add just a little bit of ink onto the in between where I rub it away, but we just got that little fun speckled element as well onto the background, which is in the paper. Okay, just to give it a bit more texture. But totally up to you whether you decide to add that or not. So now we've got all our elements. We just need a dimensional or two on the back of that, so that's ready to go. And then we need to bring in our trimmer. So I'm going to take a portion off the bottom first. Now I've opted for 1 1/4 inches. Obviously you can take off whatever you want, just so that the layering works a little bit. We need to create that sort of gap for the images there, so we just need to take off 1/8 inch off the bottom of this before we slice off our 1 1/4 inch off this side. Do the same again with this one. We just take off 1/8 inch just so that we get that separation between the panels onto our base panel. which I'm keeping as white, and there's a mark on that, which means we are going to flip it over. Although you probably cover it over. Yeah, we'll cover it over because this side looks... Even though we've got the tidy tray, they do get little flecks every now and again of embossing powder. So, normally I go to my stamp and seal to position stuff for layering, but because we need to be sure that these fit together the way I want them to, I'm using the wet glue, which is going to give me an opportunity to make sure that they are in the right place. This junction isn't going to matter as much because it's going to be covered by the label, but I certainly want the outside to look right. Okay, so there we go. So that's fine. There's no reason why it wouldn't have worked, but you know, you just never know. Sometimes we have little moments when we're cutting our paper and stuff and we don't quite do it right, so it's always best to be on the safe side. We can now put that onto our card base, and again we can use our wet glue for that. You don't have to put absolutely tons on. And any that goes where it shouldn't will dry clear, in case you're concerned about that. Okay, I did have to slide that across quite a way because I dropped it before it was ready. So when that sort of gets to a point where it's almost dry, it sort of goes tacky, and you can get either one of these dedicated glue erasers, which is what I've got here. This isn't a Stampin' Up product, but they are readily available. But you will find you get not too bad a result if you just use a good quality white artist's rubber, white rubber eraser, just to sort of skim off any of that excess ink, because it will shine, and we've got the shiny elements on the card itself. So our sentiment can go on over that intersection, and you can kind of up and down and whatever, but I think I like it sort of centralish. Okay, and then what I've done ahead of time is I've used the Berry Burst Stamping Blend to colour some pearls in this case. Now these are the basic pearls, these are a retiring product, but I've got some to use up, so I'm going to use them up. But you can colour any of the white or even the iridescent stuff, because the iridescent pearls are carrying over, which I'm really pleased about. They're so pretty. So pretty, but you can still colour them. It's a shame to cover over the iridescence, but you can still do that if you want to. And we have got the we'll have basic rhinestones as well. So I think those sort of echo the splatter a little bit, and kind of tie those elements together. Okay. So that's it. That's our Emboss Resist card based on Tammy's inspiration. I like this one. Those colours have worked so well together. I like this one too. But I'm really pleased with how those colours have blended together. Really cool. So as a reminder, this was Lemon Lime Twist, Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock. All new additions to the Stampin' Up colour families. This one, Lemon Lolly, And then we've got Bubble Bath and Berry Burst. Again, new additions to the SU colour families, not necessarily ones we haven't seen before in some cases. So Berry Burst and Lemon Lime Twist and Lost Lagoon Pretty Peacock, they're all returning colours. Lemon Lolly and Bubble Bath are brand new. Okay, super duper. I hope you've enjoyed that and picked up some tips, giving you an idea of a different layout rather than just using one piece of cardstock or DSP on the background. Okay, thanks ever so much for joining me today. Hope you're staying safe. Take care. See you soon. Bye.